And then this is just an addition to last video, kind of. So I'm just going to dig deeper into loyalty because it's such a lost art of today's world in people of my generation. What loyalty actually requires. And most people think it's, strong feelings or attraction staying low for other people and trust in their partner and finding the right person. None of that is the foundation. Those are byproducts, not requirements. Loyalty requires a pre commitment to identity. Loyal people don't decide what to do in the moment, they decide who they are ahead of time. And this is a core failure today. And if your internal dialogue during temptation is, what do I feel like doing right now? Boom, you have already lost immediately. A loyal person asks themselves, is this consistent with the person I have decided to be? And that decision happens before attraction, boredom, or resentment or opportunity shows up. Without that, loyalty becomes situational, and any staying situational eventually collapses. Loyalty requires intolerance for self betrayal. This is a subtle but critical a part of loyalty. Truly loyal people aren't just afraid of hurting their partner, they are unwilling to disrespect themselves. Cheating isn't just doing something bad, it's telling yourself, I don't keep my own word under pressure. And once that happens, self trust erodes. And when you don't trust yourself, everything becomes negotiable: boundaries, honesty, promises, and meaning. Loyalty requires self reverence, not ego, but integrity. Loyalty requires boredom tolerance. This one is rarely said out loud. Long term loyalty means accepting that excitement fluctuates, novelty fades, desire ebbs and flows, the nervous system calms down. Modern people are terrible at boredom. Phones, social media, dating apps, porn, constant stimulation. They train the brain to expect intensity. So when a relationship enters a quieter phase, people misinterpret it as something is wrong. Nothing is wrong. Stability just isn't loud. Loyalty requires the ability to stay grounded when life isn't stimulating you. People who can't tolerate boredom will always chase novelty, sexually, emotionally, or spiritually. And loyalty requires discipline over imagination. Most cheating starts before any physical act. It starts with mental rehearsals, comparisons, and what if fantasies, and emotional openness where it doesn't belong. People who stay loyal guard their inner world. They don't entertain scenarios that erode commitment, and not because they're afraid, but because they understand this truth. What you repeatedly imagine becomes emotionally real. Loyalty requires saying, that thought doesn't get space here. And that is not repression, that is governance. Loyalty requires choosing long term meaning over short term relief. And this is the deepest layer. Attraction often offers relief from boredom, insecurity, feeling unseen, and responsibility. But relief is not meaning. Loyal people choose meaning even when relief is available. They accept that discomfort doesn't mean failure, temptation doesn't mean truth, desire doesn't mean destiny. They understand that some pleasures cost your future self, and they're unwilling to make that trade. Why loyalty feels rare today is because modern life undermines every requirement above. Identity is discouraged. Don't limit yourself. Self denial is framed as repression. Boredom is treated as pathology. Imagination is constantly stimulated. Short term relief is endlessly available. So loyalty isn't rare because people are evil. It's rare because it's countercultural. The cleanest definition of loyalty, if I had to reduce all of this to one sentence, would be loyalty is the ability to remain aligned with your values when violating them would feel good. And that's it. No romance, no hype, no excuses. So when people ask why loyalty feels rare now or why attraction feels dangerous, I don't think the answer is complicated. I think it comes down to one thing, and it's most people never actually choose. And choose your person. The real loyalty starts with a decision, not a feeling, not excitement, not chemistry. The decision that says, this is my person, and because of that, there are things I simply don't do anymore. That decision isn't restrictive, it's stabilizing. Loyalty as alignment, not sacrifice. A lot of people talk about loyalty like it's a sacrifice, like you're giving something up, like you're denying yourself for something better. But that's only true when you're not aligned with yourself. When you've actually chosen your values, your actions, and your identity line up, loyalty stops feeling like restraint and it feels like self respect. Self respect isn't confidence, and it's not ego, it's not pride. Self respect is knowing that you keep your own word, especially when nobody is watching. That's why betrayal doesn't just hurt relationships, it fractures the person who does it. The modern world doesn't encourage this kind of clarity. It encourages keeping options open, chasing novelty, listening to every impulse, and comparing constantly so people don't choose. And when you don't choose, loyalty feels impossible because you're always half available to something else. This is the part that nobody talks about. Cheating doesn't just damage the trust with somebody else, it damages self trust. When you cross a line you told yourself that you wouldn't cross, something inside you weakens. And after that, it's easier to cross the next line. And that's how people drift further and further from who they thought they actually were. Why loyal people seem calm? It's when, have you ever noticed that truly loyal people aren't anxious about temptation? They're not constantly scanning the room, they're not afraid of attraction. And that's because they're settled. They already know who they are. Loyalty isn't about controlling desire, it's about not being controlled by indecision. When you choose your person fully, something surprising happens. Your mind gets quieter, your attention sharpens, your energy stops leaking everywhere. You are no longer negotiating with yourself every day. That's why loyalty sits right at the intersection of identity, discipline, and self respect and meaning. It's not just about relationships, it's about whether you live as someone who is internally aligned or as someone who is constantly at war with themselves. So, in a world that is constantly pulling you in 100 directions, loyalty becomes an act of self definition. You choose your person, you choose your values, and you live in a way that doesn't contradict them. That is not old fashioned, that is grounded. When you are aligned with yourself, loyalty isn't hard. When you are not, nothing feels stable. So, the question isn't whether attraction will show up, it's whether you have decided who you are when it does. And loyalty is rare now. So that means you have to be careful where you place it. Blind loyalty isn't virtue, it's vulnerability without discernment. And in a world where many people haven't done the work to build character, committing yourself fully to the wrong person can cost you years of your life. So loyalty still matters deeply, but it has to be earned through character, consistency, and alignment. You don't rush commitments, you observe and you pay attention. And when you do choose, you choose carefully because loyalty given lightly isn't loyalty at all.